Hello and welcome to the Red Shirt Podcast mini edition with Vernon and Nigel. Well, Nigel, the sun's shining. It's a beautiful, clear day in Manchester, but there's a lot of grey feeling and the clouds are actually gathering over Ollie after last night's performance. First game in the Champions League, you couldn't have picked a better opponent in Young Boys Burn away. And to say we failed the audition, well, we did, didn't we, Nigel?
We certainly did. And like we said a few weeks ago, or like I said a few weeks ago, we're out of excuses now. We've got a stellar team. And whilst I don't believe we have stellar management and coaches, I still think there's still enough there to go quite far and to be part of a lot of the conversations this year around the Premier League and also the Champions League. And, this is not the first time adversity struck United. So, I remember many times we've lost a player, but we still managed to manage a game. In fact, sometimes come away with a victory because we had the right characters on the pitch. We had the right mentality. We say the word over and over and over again. It happens in games when someone gets sent off, a team's got to go to a plan B or plan C. It happens all the time. And I suppose before we get into the detail of it, my first question is, if that was a City or Liverpool against Young Boys
or Chelsea,
does one player being sent off change things? And the reality, the reality is no, innit? Especially
the reality is no. And I think, to be honest with you, I think what was alarming for me was it was obvious that the sending off changed the game. Let's start. We got off to the best start that we could do. Beautiful goal, fantastic ball from Fernandez. The vision is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then you have Ronnie, who does what he does. He puts it on target. He makes the keeper make a save. He puts it in a place where it's awkward for the keeper. We're 1-0 up. And you're thinking, this is what we want. We're going to cruise this game. Yeah, we're going to cruise it. And then
I suppose, Vernon, that's not. I know you're going to surmise. I think that's my first point, though, isn't it? I'm not here to be negative. I'm just here to just say what I see. But maybe the problem with our team is we're full of individuals. Individual brilliance is what gives us our results. Bruno does something amazing, like the passer today, sublime. Ronnie does what Ronnie does, sublime. Pogba does what Pogba does, sublime. But we don't. Is there a cohesion? Is there a team identity yet? Are we playing as a team? And this is what I mean. We've got all the stellar players now. We're out of excuses. It's time for us to get a team format in place. City play with a false nine, and it works tremendously. It's like the next level in footballing. But we seem to be reliant upon individual brilliance.
I think what's alarming for me, and I've seen it in the last couple of seasons, and which worries me, is there seems to be a culture of when we play teams that are not even near our level, how complacent we are.
Yeah.
You can look at West Brom away. You can look at Sheffield United at home. Yeah, where unfortunately Ollie makes the changes. He rotates. We've said it's a big thing for him this season. He needs to rotate. However, rotate when you're through to the Champions League group. Don't do it in your first game, because the problem is what happens is the team's changed. Okay, people can say, well, yeah, he needs to make change from Saturday, because they've got a game coming up on Sunday, but it's 5 games, 5 days,
5 days,
5 days rest until the next game. For me, get the game won, then make your changes. Don't make, basically 3 or 4 changes, because you're going to take that fluidity out of the team. That sort of pace that was there.
Yeah.
I mean, make no bones about it. The sending off changed the game, and it was a sending off, wasn't it?
It was definitely a sending off. And you see, in the first 5 minutes of watching this game, the first 5-10 minutes, I was immediately worried because I thought, I've seen this time and time and time again, where a team has overrun that midfield and they seem to have all the runners and all the energy, and it's almost left to Pogba and Fred to cope with this. Now, Fred, in fairness, played quite well yesterday.
Had a good game, Fred.
He had a good game, and he was hurrying about and he was intercepting and doing. There's an issue around him keeping the ball and making a simple pass, but by and large, he was the energy that counted their energy. But it was only him. It's not Pogba's role. It's not Pogba's job to hurry around, and try and intercept all these runs that are going off. That's just not his game. So, but Ollie must know this, and the coaching staff must know this. So,
what he's trying to do is he's trying to shoehorn too many players into positions that don't suit him just to get him in the team.
Yeah, Ollie's favorites again.
Yeah,
I told you.
What you've got to do, and we're not being negative here. We're just saying what we see.
Exactly.
We're just saying what we see. So what you've got to do is the sending off happens, and then you've got to make tweaks. You've got to make tweaks, and you've got to react.
Yeah.
And the problem is, when it comes to games, his reactions aren't quick enough, and they're not ruthless enough. You can go back and you can look at, we can go back at certain performances. You can go back to the Europa League final where Unai Emery makes 5 substitutions to make sure he gets into extra time, which ensures he gets penalties. And the problem is, to me, is we were trying to manage the game, but we were trying to manage it in a way of wasting time, making sure that we weren't taking the sting out of the game. And the other thing that I couldn't understand is, obviously, they get their equaliser and it was coming. The equaliser was coming. Yeah? Right? But I couldn't understand the substitutions. I couldn't understand why he was putting Lingard up front on his own.
Well, why on earth is Greenwood not brought on?
Exactly.
Because you need somebody who can match the energy levels that are going on that pitch. Someone that's got the technique to trap a ball, to hold up a ball, to run with a ball. It's screaming for someone like a Greenwood. It's like, and I don't get paid a couple of million a year to make that decision, but everybody can see that it's not about, in Ollie's mind, it's about, okay, let's protect what we've got. I'm still back to the day when, Roy Keane gets a yellow card in the semi-final of the Champions League, and he then goes ahead and scores a goal. Think, okay, I'm going to miss the final, but I'm going to get my team to the final. It's just about mentality. It's like, okay, we've got a man down, but we can more than coach young boys. Imagine if it was Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. It's young boys. So, okay, we've lost it, but we can still beat you with 10 men. Where is that mindset?
Well, it's not just that. The thing is, as well, is that in training, they'll work with these situations. So they'll play 11 against 10, and they'll be moving the ball. I think, to me now, fortunately, Atalanta Villarreal was a 1-1 draw. 2-2 draw, sorry. It was 2-2.
Yeah.
It was a 2-2 draw. So, to me, I'm hoping that now it's kind of like, well, we're only a point behind the other 2 teams in the group. Nobody's really sort of like, nobody's sort of like streaked away or points ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody expects young boys to go ahead and win their next 3 games.
No, exactly.
The whipping boys of the group. So everybody expects.
Exactly. And I think that is what is kind of a bit worrying, was the fact that they have done that. I think what United have got to do is to kick up the backside that they needed, that they can't stroll around, that it's about hard work, but also I think what Ollie's got to do now is acknowledge the pressure's on.
Yeah.
The expectations, you've got the players that you've wished for. Yeah. You've got a stellar squad. You've got a stellar team. Yeah. People are not gonna basically, take these performances lying down. At the end of the day, we were 30 seconds away from, in the end, getting quite a decent point. But one mistake, and that's what happens in football, and it's all been turned around. Yeah.
We've seen that before. I've seen that before. So I remember when Gary Neville you know, I think it was against Liverpool somewhere where it's a back pass goes right to the striker. It was against City. What was against City? Yeah. So that stuff happens. I know he feels terrible. I feel terrible for him. He's had a great run of form at the moment. That stuff happened. Okay, should have hit it in Rose. He could have played. He'll be thinking about the 50 million other things he could have done with that ball. So that's not really the end of the world for me, because that kind of stuff happens. You know, I think you do it all the time, Vernon. You know what I mean?
Well,
we've got to cope with it when you do it.
I do it 5 or 6 times every game, you know. So, but I mean, the thing for me there is a lot of that was to do with the plastic pitch, the artificial pitch, because he's probably hit it, and on the grass, it would have just zoomed off to the feet. He's under hit 9 times out of 10, he gets that pass right.
Yeah.
And this is the small margins, you know, that failure, you know, and triumph is placed on. You know, that back pass goes straight back to De Gea. De Gea clears it. We've got a draw. You're kind of shrugging your shoulders and you're looking forward to the next game.
Yeah. And then everybody else draws, so it's like as you were. So you know, you're not worried about that. But I think my biggest one, one of my major, one of the thoughts in my mind right now is just a signal that sends to not only Europe, but the Premier League as well. You know, United don't have the desire to run in midfield. We've got no midfield engine. So everybody now knows how to beat United. You get runners in the middle, you cut off the supply lines. You know, I talked about supply lines. Ronaldo does nothing. Ronaldo's isolated. He can't score if he's not got the ball. And our job is to get the ball to Ronaldo. We're not getting it to him. So no supply lines to Ronaldo. He might as well not be there. And so it's really important that Ollie has got to get it right in the engine room. Everybody knew we should have got a central midfielder. Everybody knew that was a priority. And last night it just played out in glorious Technicolor. That's the reason why we needed that central midfielder.
Well, I think as well, the worrying fact for me was it's young boy burn away, young boys away, yeah? And it's 2 shots over 90 minutes on target.
Yeah.
You know, that's worrying. It's the whipping boys.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm positive. I do think we're going to qualify from the group. I just think we've made it harder. We've made it harder. But the thing is we've drawn the line under now what success is going to be this year. You know, Ollie failed last year with silverware. And this year, you've got the tools. You've got the tools in the armory. And unfortunately, that comes with pressure, because there'll be managers out there flying around, the vultures, who are more than happy to come in. And United have got to make it work. They have to make it work.
I totally agree. I'm not getting carried away. Like you said, there's no point. We're not going to get carried. We're not flip-flopping, and we're not getting carried away. But it's a good job that you can watch previous episodes where we talked about. He's out of excuses. He's got all the players that he wants. Yeah, he's been backed. That team is a very likable, very capable team. Yeah, he's got to fix those problems. And yeah, okay, one guy gets sent off, another one plays a dodgy back pass. That team on paper should have been out of sight. We should have been 5 or 6 up, and they score a last minute consolation. That's what it should have been.
I think that the thing is you look at sort of like the team that won the treble, or the teams that got us to Champions League finals and won leagues. Ferguson did change and rotate his players, but it was only one player maybe each week. Yeah. You can't go to 3 or 4 because you lose the pace and you lose the rhythm from that team. Because you've got like Van der Beek that's coming in, and he's basically picking up the first 60 to 90 minutes of the season. Yeah. And it's a lot to ask, a player to do that.
Of course.
Yeah. And I think this is where, the rotation has got to be planned a lot better, And usually what you used to find with Fergie is he never used to really rotate his midfield that much. It was his strikers that he'd rotate because he would know that the rhythm and obviously partnerships within the team, especially, in the spine, are important. You can get away with it, your strikers, because sometimes you have to change it to give the defenders something to think about and then something else to think about later in the game. But I think what he's got to do now is he's got to sit down. We've got to forget about last night's game now. You know, it's finished. It's over with. We've got to go to West Ham and we've got to win because we've got West Ham back to back. If he loses at West Ham or they put in a performance like they did last night, then the Wolves will be out and the Vultures, and they will be circling.
Well, make no mistake. I think they've got their game plan. They know exactly, because we had no response to it, and I think you're absolutely right. We've got to go there, and we've got to put in not only get the result, but we've got to put in a performance that says that was a blip. You know.
Yeah. Well, you've got 2 back-to-back games against West Ham. So the league game is imperative you get a result. You need to sort of like go down there, get a result. And then on the Wednesday night, you can rotate and shuffle a little bit of your team because, again, the games are coming thick and fast. Yeah. But what you can't do, is lose both. Because if you lose both, we will be in a crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
exactly.
know, and it's not just that. What you've got to remember is, for a long period of time that Ollie's been in charge, he's had young players that have just broke into the team.
Yeah.
Whereas now you've got stellar professionals. And if they don't think he's performing as a manager, they will be going upstairs.
They'll go upstairs, they'll say it. Do you think Ronaldo's going to tolerate this? He's not going to tolerate this. You know, Ronaldo is our great blessing, but it could be his nightmare because Ronaldo will say, hang on a minute, this is not what I was sold. You know, this team is great, but something's not working. Well, and he'll say it because he demands that level. You know,
well, because I mean, at the end of the day, people are now talking about, they're talking about Conte, and like just look at Conte's record in the Champions League. It's no better than Ole's. Do you know what I mean? Inter went out like us early on last year, but what he will do is he'll win you the league.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we're not saying, and I'm not saying that it's Ollie out at this moment in time.
No,
we're not
at all. I hope that's not coming across because we're not saying that.
And we're not having a meltdown.
Yeah.
But you have got to face reality that when you've got a squad and it's been the strongest, it's probably stronger than Ferguson's last squad that won the league. You are gonna have to deliver, and that's just it's the name that's on the tin. Do you know what I mean? It's what's expected.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah.
So
agreed.
So Nigel, we've got that out of the way, that rant. We've got West Ham coming up on Sunday, which will be a tough game. It's a televised game on at 2:00, 2:30 on Sunday. Kickoff, actually. It's a 2 p.m. kickoff. We have to be focused now on that game, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, I suppose the question I was going to ask you, but I'll try and answer myself is, well, what changes would I make, if any? So,
I think Varane comes in from the start, doesn't he? So
Varane comes in from the start. It's almost the same team that we played against Newcastle. Is Cavani fit?
Well, he said he had a slight knock, so it'll be interesting to see if if he's on the bench at least. From my point of view, I'm thinking to myself, well, against West Ham, does he play 2 CDMs? Do you know what I mean? Or does he go with the one? And if you go with the one and Pogba, maybe with Fred, you may have the same performance against Wolves, especially away from home.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You got to remember, you know exactly what they're going to do. They've got their one CDM, the guy that we want, and they'll just sit tight while the rest of them bomb forward. And so we know what we're going to face. It's probably it's just a repeat performance of last night. So we've got to think through what the options can be.
Yeah.
The options has to be we've got to play wider. So Greenwood's got to be in that team. And we need some energy in that midfield. And if that's a conversation, go on.
I'm wondering if he's going to start. Maybe he might drop Sancho and play Pogba on the left, Greenwood the right, Fernandes as a 10, Ronaldo up front, and then maybe play Sancho, give him a rest, and play him in the Carabao Cup.
So who's holding that midfield?
I'm wondering if McTominay's fit enough to come back.
Well,
and maybe
I think that's on everybody's mind, isn't it? Can you believe that we're talking about is McTominay fit yet?
Well, McTominay gives you that energy from the middle, doesn't he, where he's going to run. He's going to run with the ball. So I mean, if he's fit, you're hoping that he'll start. Probably play Fred. You know what I mean? In there. So you've got a terrier like. You've got Pogba further upfield. So therefore, we're not being exposed as much in the middle. Yeah. And then Greenwood on the right. And then, Bruno and, because Bruno and Ronaldo, because they're just going to sit tight. Moyes is a protagonist anyway, isn't he?
Yeah.
So what they're going to do is they're just going to stay tight. Antonio suspended.
Yeah.
Suspended. So it'll be interesting to see. But, they like to break from deep, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
So, prediction time, Nigel.
We need a reaction, don't we? I think we'll get a reaction. I think all the players are sensible enough to know that this requires a reaction. So I'm expecting not a comfortable win, but I'm expecting us to get over the line. So hopefully it's a 2-1. Yeah. Maybe if that's the way they line up, it could be a 3-1.
Yeah.
As they're desperate for a goal, they'll leave some space in behind. But it might be a tough 2-3 or 3-1.
I'm gonna go for a 1-0 win. I think it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
So guys, thanks very much. Remember, guys, it was disappointing last night, but we've got to stay together, move on together, support the team together. So please get your comments in.
Yeah.
Please like and subscribe. Yeah, and share as much as you like. And as usual, is keep safe, love football, and Nigel,
keep that red flag flying. See you on the next one.